We've all been there. Not knowing exactly, should I ask that question? What do I wear so that I feel comfortable? This is a good one. I have a tip that is going to help you know exactly what you need to wear on each occasion. It may not be exactly what you're thinking, so stay tuned till the end because tonight we are going to dive into what you do and how you ask the questions that make connection. Because you might be feeling like I'm not connecting to him in the way that I want to. And these little tips are going to get you there and help you so much in this. So, welcome to this live, which is about sparking a man's interest for love and commitment. What you ask, how you ask it, what you do, and even what you wear. So, welcome. If you don't know who I am, hi, everybody who's here already on this live. I am Coach Paula Grooms, a dating and relationship coach for women, licensed social worker, and author of the book, Why Won't He Commit? How a Man Decides to Make You the One. I help you find a Mr. Right, get an ex back, or grow an existing situation to the relationship of your dreams so you create the everything you want and level up to the complete commitment you totally deserve. So let's get into this tonight. Welcome all here on YouTube, over on Instagram. Hello. Hi there. I'm so glad you're here. This is very simple. And once you hear it, you're going to go, oh, that makes so much sense. But we don't tend to think of it when we are dating. We get into our heads a bit. We make more of things than is necessary, and we don't stay focused on that goal of connection. We focus more on ourselves. And when we switch this focus, we help create the connection that is going to get us really what we want so that we are completely comfortable and help ourselves so much to get what it is ultimately that we desire, deserve. So welcome everyone. Put your questions for the Q&A. So when we get to that, we have it. So first of all, what do we ask? You can ask almost anything you want, but I'm going to give you a little tweak and a little twist on the how and even how to get into a question whereby you might feel hesitant or uncomfortable, maybe asking about it. Then we're going to get into what you do to feel more comfortable when you're there, when you're with him. And this is something that you can focus on that is outside of yourself, to take the pressure off yourself in a way, take the focus off your thoughts about yourself. And then, of course, what you wear that's going to make you feel most at ease, and to know, most importantly, that it's going to connect with him. He's going to like it. So, all right, let's get into questions and how you ask. The operative word here is deep. You want to ask deeper questions. Now, this is tricky because we have to be very careful, especially first off when we're first dating. When I say deep questions, it's about the how of the question, not so much the want, the what, I should say. So, for example, you are meeting someone, say, on a first meeting from online, and he's telling you what he does for a living. Let's say he's a doctor. So you want to connect to him and not give the questions that are going to be surface level, but have deeper meaning. And here's ding, 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 key, that he is the only one that has the information. He's an expert on it. So instead of a yes or no question like, do you like it? Not so deep, not so impactful. If he starts talking about his life and you can tell he's interested, you can comment on that and say, I see you're really passionate about it. What got you into it? What was it that inspired you, hear those key words, to go to medical school? You can also give him a little boost, like, I can't imagine how hard it is to get through medical school. What kept you going during the tough times? You see how they're deeper? They're not just surface level questions that he's going to be used to answering. It shows deeper thought about the question, and that you're not just interested in him because he's a doctor. You see how that makes more connection? You can help yourself get to deeper questions by, and I'm going to make a caveat on this because we don't want them necessarily to be, especially in the beginning, about other relationships or women. So it's more about his passion, his thoughts, his feelings, what inspired, there's a great word, what inspired you to do that? How did you keep going through the tough times? What got you through? That kind of thing. Now, he may have so much bravado that he says, oh, I don't even, it wasn't hard for me at all. Well, ding, ding, ding. That might be a little bit of a red flag. Because it shows a little bit too much bravado. But you see the start of it so that you, in those moments, can help yourself ask the question. Things like, here's some tips. I imagine that must have been. I can only imagine that must have been. And then add in the word. Really challenging. Maybe even a little difficult. What prompted you to have what what got you to all of that? What was it that inspired? What gave you the inner strength to get through XYZ? And then, of course, you can connect it to something, to yourself, that maybe is not as that maybe you wouldn't have. Like if you would have all of that capacity, you don't have to hide it. You can say, like, I know what it takes to do that kind of testing. What made you know that you suited to do this? What inspired you? You see, that kind of thing. Deeper questions, not just surface level, that don't make a connection. And we know they're surface level questions when they tend to be a yes or no. So instead of, do you like it? Do you like, whatever specialty he's in or whatever? Do you like it? Not great. That's a yes or no. I mean, he could expound on it and say, well, yeah, I like this part of it. I like that part of it. Instead, even if you can't think of a deeper question, you could say, what do you like most? And then he might answer, I hear medicine is really challenging now. What do you like least? You see, stuff like that. It's getting away from the surface level stuff, and not that you're impressed that he's a doctor, but you're impressed with what it took for him to become it. You see, that's something he achieved. And as a man, for you to connect to what he's achieved, that's a big one. You see? So that is the going deeper, not yes or no. And you can start it off with, wow. That is always like a word of wonder. Wow, or interesting. Interesting. What inspired you to go into medicine? You maybe are going to get, I watched my grandfather suffer with X, Y, and Z. There wasn't good stuff, at the time. I vowed then when I was a little boy, I'm going to do something about this disease. I mean, wow, you just made a real connection there. And then, wow, must be really meaningful to you. But I can imagine how challenging it must have been. What got you through the tough times? You see? Just be thinking deeper about it. Now, it may not be something like that. Say it's not medicine. You can apply this to anything. Say, I don't know, he's an electrician. Wow, what sparked your interest in that? You see, make it fun too, but a little deeper. I would find that so challenging. And it's fascinating that we don't even know what electricity is, and here you are working with it. What got you into that? He might say his family or whatever it is, right? He may not know, but it's at least challenging him to go a little deeper. People like to be asked about themselves and what they do, especially men. What they do is so intrinsic to who he is. And I really admire that. I can imagine you've been shocked one or more times in your life, and then he'll tell you about those incidents. There's not an electrician alive that hasn't really gotten himself shocked. Yeah, stuff like that. Okay, so now we want to get to what you do. This is quite simple. You probably heard it, but again, like I talk about here all the time, we don't need more information. We need reminding. So I'm going to remind you, because the more we're reminded, the more we can think. This can work with anybody to connect you and to make them feel there's something about this person I like. I can't put my finger on it, but it's something. It's subtle, and you want to be subtle about it, but you do it. And it's simply mirroring. You've heard the term, and it's simply that he's sitting there looking at you. He's got his chin, on his hand. Well, then you slowly move into head on your hand, chin on your hand. He sits back. Maybe he puts his hands up, Maybe you do that, but you do a version of it and you play with your hair. You see? Subtle, but he moves, you move. It's like that. He crosses his legs and situates his body to you a little bit more or to an angle. Do the same. Now, not immediately, but like work into it. You can do this in an interview. You can do this anytime. People want to feel aligned. It makes us feel connected. The people who most appeal to us are what we recognize and what is like ourselves. So, in that moment, be like him. It's very simple, but we need to be reminded. What's going to remind you when you're going on your next date or a first meeting? What is it that's going to remind you? Put something on your phone. I don't know. Carry a mirror with you. When you look in your purse, there it is, or something. But something, right? Mirroring is very effective in terms of making someone who we just meet feel at ease with us. Someone's Jack. I get to Q&A and then I go through because you're saying, is anyone even reading this? And it's interesting that we have a man here tonight. So we're getting a man. If it's a man, yes, women have talked to me like that. And they were just trying to be friends. I don't know how a man would know that a woman is interested just by asking about my life. Well, that takes a little nuance and maybe practice. But generally, that's how we connect. How else, Jack, would a woman show you she is interested in you other than asking some questions about you in a deeper way? So, and again, I'll get to those in Q&A. Then, like with mirroring, this is very simple. What we wear. This is an interesting one because, yes, we want to feel very comfortable. But if we want the man to connect to us, very simple. Here's what you do. Think of what will he be wearing? What will he be wearing? And then we tend to mirror that in the female form. So, you know, he works in finance and you're going to be meeting him for happy hour after work. Say he's, I don't know, you're here on the East Coast, he works on Wall Street. He's likely going to be in, ding, 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 a suit. Well, then you want maybe the female form of that. Not necessarily a suit, but if you do have a woman's suit on to go to work, don't show up in something that's not that. Again, it's mirroring for connection. You, once you're dating, you can even ask. He may ask, what should I wear? Men tend to ask that for certain things when we're in relationships with them. Again, ask, what would you be most comfortable in for, Friday casual? See what he says. I mean, you can work through that if he does ask. But if you're going on a first meeting and he says, I'm going to be coming from the gym. Oh, then say, I'm thinking how you could ask if he says, I'm going to be coming from the gym. Oh, so that sounds pretty casual. Okay, I'll be the same. So don't show up in your finest when he might be still like just throwing on stuff after the gym stuff, right? Because that will make you both uncomfortable. And it feels like there's a disconnection when maybe there really isn't. But it doesn't help us to create that feeling of connection. Just think of it, what's he going to likely show up in? And I'll show up in the female version of that. If he's say he's a drummer in the local band, he's probably not going to be showing up in a suit, right? So think of that. All right, let's take some Q&A. I trust those things were very helpful to you because you need reminding to make those connections. So we got some questions here on both sides. Yes, Jack here, you know that this is mostly, I'm here for women. I'm a dating and relationship coach for women. So I help women get what they desire and deserve, but I can give you from that perspective. If a woman talked to me like that, I just think she's a friend. That's could be that you are deflecting maybe the connection. But women desire most to feel connected. And I understand what you're saying of, I want to posture that I have things, money, status, perhaps. I'm not definitely saying that you do that. I'm just saying that, and every woman here has had the experience of going on a first date and the man, it feels like the man is talking at you to impress you. And these deeper questions that I just talked about can get him over that hump so that you can feel connected. Because Jack, if it's not going well for you, the woman is lacking connection. In other words, if you've gone on first dates and it doesn't pan out to more, think about, am I maybe posturing a bit and not going, I could not be asking her, because again, this works both ways. If the man were to ask you deep questions, you'd probably love it, correct? If he said, oh, what got you into interior design? Have you always been creative with colors and shapes and things? That's much better than like you say, I'm an interior designer. Oh, that's interesting. So you help people decorate their houses. It's not as deep and it doesn't make you feel connected. So Jack, women want to feel connected to get past the friendship. Let's see, who else has questions? When you make those deeper connections, how do you transition to a fun banter? That's a great question. Jamara's question, I'm going to put that up here. It can naturally come, I like the question, by then, like, for example, so, you know, I was talking about if he's an electrician, what sparked your interest in that? You see, it's deeper, but it's still, you can then think of connections like, okay, electricity, sparks and getting shocked. And so he says something and you go, that's shocking. You see, something like that. Just pivot to flirting, giggling, make a connection to something. You can think of anything that might have a connection to something he does and pivot and make it more fun and flirty. But it's a good question because I think you're getting to, Jamara, a very important point that we want levels in dates. We don't want all deep. Mm-mm. We want make connection, pull out of it a little bit. Make connection, pull out of it a little bit. Levels, roller coaster, seesaw, fun, and deep. Does that make sense? But I really like that question because it does get to the heart of it. Let's see, I think there's a question over here on Instagram as well. Had a good first phone conversation the day before the first date. He wanted a dinner date, but I asked for drinks first. He complied. He then asked to reschedule an hour before meetup. That's interesting. What did you make of that when he asked to reschedule? This is Say Yes to Heaven 11111. What and how did he ask to reschedule? And did he offer and did he really make amends? Because this could be filled with all kinds of reasons why that occurred. You see, we have to be careful because if a man only wants to take you to dinner, I would be very careful with that. It might be that when you ask to switch it to just drinks and for a first meeting, this is very important. And we go into the why of it, the psychology of it, but you want to show that you're not going to give an entire meal to someone you haven't met yet. It's not a great use of your time, and it doesn't set the tone. Now, if he felt that that was you tried to control it and that he can't control you with or impress you with the money, or that he's asking for dinner and you're not complying, that might be a little bit of a red flag. But the opposite could also be true in that he just needed to reschedule, but something is not so great. I'm not going to say rotten because we need to give it maybe one more try, but maybe not so great. You've heard rotten in Denmark, maybe just not so great. I would think, what, an hour beforehand, not so cool, unless he made quite an attempt. I am so sorry. This has come up for work. Please, let me make it up to you. Can we meet? And then he gives another time. But if he's just canceling, then he asked through a text to reschedule, but didn't apologize. He just seemed like he got lazy. That's not so great. Now, here's the rub. We don't want to be too harsh and cancel somebody out with one strike against them. Okay, just one. It's a pink flag for sure. But what is the harm of saying, okay, I understand. Next week, I'm free on, and then you give 2 nights that you're free for happy hour. And see if he complies. He may be very taken aback that you were nice about it. And maybe think twice. And then when he meets you, remember, it's all about the meet. Things do not really take off until you're sitting there in each other's presence with the pheromones happening. So if you like him enough in terms of the phone call, the profile, I would say absolutely give it that next shot. And if that goes awry, then, that's it. Tamara, yes, I get it. Create the ups and downs, ebbs and flows. Exactly. You want on a first meeting simply to really get a sense of a man being able to switch gears a little bit. See if he has the fun. I know you, Jamara, have a great sense of humor. See if he's able to pick up with that and go with that flow. But you see here the importance of connection, and we're not taking away the importance of needing to flirt, but the connection of how I position myself with my body, meaning mirroring, have some deeper things. And it doesn't have to be continual. We don't want to make it all about that, right? And then also wearing something whereby he will feel we are simpatico, we are aligned, right? And even if you know he's a drummer in the band, and he's going to be maybe with beads on his arm and a tie-dye shirt and jeans and sneakers. Well, you can still show up in jeans, right? Maybe you can show up jeans with heels, but you don't want a button-down shirt and to feel more uptight. Maybe you want a boho shirt, aligning a bit, right? Maybe stick something in your hair or some beads or bangles or something, but aligning with the feeling he's going with, so you feel simpatico. Any tips for someone who gets tongue-tied sometimes on dates with her guy probably? Well, yes, this is where I want you to think about just mirroring. And we don't always have to be talking. If he's not, you don't have to. Just look pretty. You know that old joke? What does a man have to do on a first date to impress a woman? The answer? Everything right. And sorry, Jack, that's just an old saying. What does a woman have to do on a first date to impress a man? Answer? Show up. You don't have to do that much. I'm saying these things so that you feel more comfortable. When you say tongue-tied, when we feel tongue-tied, it is an underlying anxiety that we are not enough and that just being there and allowing something to evolve is not going to be enough. And we have to do or say the right thing to impress or to not disappoint or to show that we're interesting, you see? But again, when we put our focus on someone else, in a sense, and I don't mean taking his temperature in the moment of like, are you comfortable? Do you have what you want to drink? No, not that. Just like, how was your day? That's enough. Get him talking. How was your day? Not sitting down and expounding on your own. Should a woman wear specific colors on a first date, like a red shirt or red dress? Again, this is going to be about more, not so much about color. You being comfortable, but aligning with what will he be wearing. Okay, so say you're going out with a version of a Jordan Peterson. Probably all know Jordan Peterson here. He's going to show up in one of his really kind of fun, not fancy, but they're unique suits. He wears the sports jackets that are unique. They're tailor-made for him. They're maybe colorful. Okay, well, you can be kind of fun and fanciful and colorful. You wouldn't want to be in a very maybe more conservative suit, some whimsy like he has in his, right? Think about what will he be showing up in, and then mirror in with your unique mirror it. But that's a good question. Any connecting questions or topics bring up with the guy you've been seeing for a while to go a little deeper with him? Yeah, I think in your case, well, knowing your case, it is simply, what's the week been like for you? Again, with him, how have you been feeling? Those aren't yes or no questions, right? He's got to come up with an answer. Yeah. Let's see, any other questions here? I am glad you're asking these because, like, for example, so glad, Jamira, you brought up the point about the not making it a one-note thing. Showing your colors. Seeing if he asks you anything. Now, you want to be careful about this because on first meetings, again, men come in with an agenda. Typically, and they're not even aware of it. I'm not saying they're doing it on purpose, but they tend to want to, if they like you, they find you attractive, impress you with something. And that can be a real turnoff because it's not connecting. I don't know how to attract women to want me as anything more than friends. What do I do? That's a tough one, Jack. And I would say that, again, you can use just what we're talking about here yourself. You can ask her the deeper questions. You can, again, make the levels. If you have a sense of humor and it's tasteful, these men can tend to veer towards, and you have to be careful with this on a first meeting, make sure your jokes as a man are more towards the tasteful. Show her with how you treat the bartender or the wait staff or the valet. Do things like, and these, men have lost the little things that women notice so much. Opening the door for her, pulling out the chair. See, those are cues. This isn't friends. Now, not that a male friend couldn't be doing that, but it's a real cue. Be gallant. Yes. Immediately. What would you like to drink? You cue the waiter. Are you comfortable at this table? You see, those little things that you show are showing her and indicating, they're indicators. This is how I treat you. This is a date. Okay? It can be helpful right off the bat. Ask her a couple of deep questions. It can be, even if it's simple and you start off doing something that's surface level. What do you like to do on your off time? And she tells you about, I don't know, her Pilates. Go a little deeper and show her who you are. I'm going to be honest. I've heard that. I've heard like the word Pilates. I don't know what it is. I'm really interested in that. Even if you aren't, tell me about it. Get her talking. And then do cues of date behavior. Can I get you another drink? How about, you just came from a Pilates class? My goodness, I can imagine you must be hungry. Call the waiter. Even if she doesn't say anything, get the menu. Be in service, you see, a bit? That shows date-like behaviors. Because, Jack, you could be a fantastic guy, and I tell women here this all the time. Dating skills and relationship skills are two opposite things. We just did our last live on about players and how players have great dating skills. But make no mistake, we don't want players. Now, not all men that have great dating skills are players, but all players have great dating skills. We have to be very careful of great dating skills. We're not looking for great dating skills. Those are things that can be cultivated, but the characteristics of a man, the traits of a man, his kindness, his intelligence, his honesty, his patience, his depth, we can't give him those. They're not skills. That's who he is. And we are looking for those for relationships. But make no mistake, for a man, and if you need, there are men and male coaches who work solely with this to help men get better at their dating skills. And I don't mean go to somebody who's like, a pickup artist kind of guy. Now, you can get some tips from them, but no, that's not, if you're looking for anything beyond, scoring, and I hope that you are, you can use some of those tips, but you want them to be authentic because you care about women and you would like to have a relationship. How much is too much to show for skin on a first date, like showing too much legs or showing too much chest? Well, that goes along with, Angel, the Madonna whore dichotomy that we have to be thinking of from our first posting of pictures online, if we're online dating. Because men immediately make an assessment. Are you a woman to have a relationship with, or are you in the just for fun category? And, there's a difference between a teeny tiny hint of cleavage and really falling out of a shirt or dress. There's a difference between a above the knee skirt with some leg and an absolute mini skirt that you can't bend over in or something like that. It's all in gradation. But again, you want to mirror him in what he might be showing up in, regardless, because it doesn't feel aligned. We've all had the experience of, going to an event, a function, and you've been told one thing, and it's like you didn't get the memo on what it is. I remember a friend told me she was going to a 15th class reunion. She hadn't been to any. It was her husband's, I think, like high school 20-year class reunion or something. And it was at an address that was in some kind of location whereby they showed up in like dinnerware because it was dinner and on the invite was dinner and dancing, something like that. Well, they show up and it's an outdoor barbecue. So they're in this, they're in dinner and dancing attire, and it's an outdoor barbecue. People are in shorts, and somehow, like, they didn't get the whole, it's very uncomfortable. So it's a version of that. They feel out of place. It makes you uptight. You want to be just aligned because like people like people. So when you show up on that first meeting and you're synergistically dressed, you're synergistically in alignment with your body language, and you ask some deeper questions, you're gonna feel more connected. So Jamara said to Jack, ultra masculinity will decrease your friend zone probability. Yes, and that's what I mean about actual steps that you can take. Show dating behavior. Now, you can say if it's a first meeting, and again, I think right off the bat, any man automatically puts himself above, like if you're meeting women from online, I would like to call you and introduce myself to see if we'd like to meet, to see if you'd like to meet or we would like to meet. Immediately the woman's impressed because men don't do that. They've lost the art of doing that. And then she hopefully will do it. And then when you have some places that are upscale bar venues, like nice restaurants with nice bars with not loud jukebox music, not a band, someplace where you can talk and have a nice cocktail. Even if you don't drink, doesn't matter. It's the environment. Have a few. I like X place, I like Y place, I like Z place. What might work for you? And I'd be happy to pick you up if that's something you prefer. Now, any woman, Jack, should not get in a car with you before meeting you. Never, women here. Don't ever allow a man to pick you up on a first meeting. No, 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 no. But the fact that you ask shows I get it. I have dating skills. Women, it clicks in us something. He's got some elan. He's got some dating skills. That's what we want. So if you show that and you get good at those, you're going to immediately, she's going to have a harder time putting you in the friend zone. But again, it's going to be more about the connection, and it's to try to get to that deeper connection for a second and third date, because women are more apt to bond through time, and you show her who you are, the goodness of you, the character of you. That's key. Put yourself in an environment where, yes, it's going to be appropriate for you and her, but say like you're fantastic at pool. Okay. Well, you don't want to go to a pool place on your very first meeting, but the second time around, say, I happen to love pool. Do you play pool at all? And if she can agree and you go and show her all your skill and you have fun, it's your environment. It's what you're good at. It clicks with her. That's more impressive than maybe something else, because it's about who you are and your skill level. Little tip there. So I hope that is helpful. And anyone who, women here, you're dating and you're having trouble, staying focused with online dating because you get frustrated. It's a time suck. You feel like I do one thing with one guy who maybe I like, that doesn't work. That you're all over the place. You get too many hits. You don't know which men to accept. You don't take the steps that guide the man to the place you want him to be in case you like him on that first meeting. And make no mistake, ladies, if online dating, you are the one in the initial stages before you meet that you guide it. You guide it to a first phone call. You guide it to where you're going to meet on that first meeting. And then after you meet and you do these little things that I'm talking about, these little tips tonight, then he takes it from there if he likes you. It's very simple. It's a formula. It's in my One Love Online to Never Ending Love, 7 simple steps to digital dating success. You follow those steps and you get success formulaically, so you don't have to spend time and turmoil thinking of, what do I do with this? I have, you can copy and paste the text you send to guide him to just that first meeting. Make those first meetings easy, light, fun, right environment, right time of day, right days. No first meeting, ladies, on Saturday nights. Don't do a first meeting on a Saturday night. It's psychological. Don't do it on Saturday night. Don't do it on Sunday night. They do not feel right. They don't connect to the man in the right way to get you what you want, should you want it. But if you show a man, I'm free on a Saturday night for a first meeting, and what can happen? You don't want dinner on a first meeting. You don't want a walk. You don't want a hike. You don't want coffee. That's what you do with a friend. And Jack, if you're going on first meetings for coffee, you will have that. Coffee is what you do with a colleague or friend. It's not a sexy environment. It's not fun. And I don't mean sexy in that you're going to have sex. But there has to be date-like environments. But you don't want the full meal deal. No meal. You show, I need to meet you first. We need some connection and lightheartedness and fun to see if we want to go to a next step. If you've met a guy organically, he's met you in person, and he asked for a first time to get together as dinner, yes, that's different. I'm talking about from online. You don't go from an app even to the phone call, which you must do because he must see you are in a value category. You expect a man to make that call and introduce himself before you deign to meet him. So then you meet for drinks, you meet for happy hour. It's the right environment. Happy hour. That's what I'm saying. Connect. If he's coming from the office, he says, I'll be coming from the office. Oh, and you can meet on a Friday night. I tell you how to do that so you kind of get out of making it all too long and how to get out of it in a couple of hours, because you don't want your first meeting to drag on too long. So you can say, are you is your office a casual office, or are you the kind that's in that 3-piece suit? Because then you can mirror it better. He goes, oh no, it's a very uptight office. We got to wear our suit and tie all day, and that he'll be coming like that. Okay. Female version of that. Even if you're wearing jeans, nice blouse, stick a cool blazer over it, and put some heels on, wear a nice bracelet or something like that, but the collared shirt with the blazer. Feel comfortable and in alignment. Again, that's what connection's about. Can be really, really helpful. They're really small, but it's the small things because it's dot by dot by dot by dot that connects the line. So if you need help with this, get the One Love Online to Never Ending Love 7 Simple Steps to Digital Dating Success. You can have a full, it's with the course, it's a self-help course, you get to keep it. You then have a full coaching experience with me. You ask me your questions and we get to actually talk. So very important for you. You get the, I think now you get a 1 month with the 80/20 Wonder Club. And speaking of the 80/20 Wonder Club, if you have any friends we're looking for this month, we are looking for guests. You know it. The guest full coaching conversations with me. And, just see in the description, write to Michelle at coachpaulagroomers.com and she'll get you set up. Off topic, it's been a month now. You know who has been reaching out, checking in every 2 weeks and commenting on my posts and talking about absolutely nothing. What do I do? Okay, well, if you have been answering, you want to simply pull back, not be taking them all the time. And if it's been, you say it's been a month now, it may be time to take a step, something a bit bold, but let's give it another, say, month. Just pull back a bit. Keep doing what you're doing. No reaching out at all. Don't answer his next one. Let it go to voicemail or whatever he does. And show I'm not putting that energy towards you. Very important. And then in a month's time, I think it would be time to, if you're a member of the club, let's get on a call here. And it would be a very good way to show what we do when we have been kind of, this is an X back and he's breadcrumbed and it wasn't really the X back in the formulaic way we do lure him back, but because he did come back and you have been taking the calls, it would be time to challenge him on next steps. And that's going to be really hard for you to do, but it's probably time. So I would say in about a month. That might seem vague to you, but I think you know what I'm talking about in terms of it needs a good more month for him to, show good. Jamera said, okay, I can do that. Let's do that. And I would say skip that next call. And again, you skip it. He will, knowing him, he will say, I called you, you're not answering, something like that. And you, in a little while, maybe the next day, oh my gosh, yes, I see that you did. Hope all is well. Good to hear from you. Talk to you next time. You show him, I'm moving on from it, right? I'm not putting any credence into it. Do not ask him a question. Very important. And then then by the end of the month in May, because I think around Memorial Day, if I remember correctly, is a pretty kind of pivotal time. Maybe it's later in the summer, I'm not sure, but I think it is. So let's do that. So wonderful to have you here. I'm gonna love you and leave you so your man doesn't. Please like this video. If you do, please share it out far and wide. I'm looking to grow my audience here so that we have more women that we can help. and get every woman the love she desires and deserves. Wonderful community. Great to have you. Thank you so much for that help. I seriously appreciate it. I will talk to you next time.